Hello everyone, this is Yvonne Rowe with the MACS program. We're going to be reviewing how to complete a MACS application form and the agreement form and touch over various cost eligibility formulas and caps and hopefully answer a lot of your MACS related questions referring to the application package. The MACS program requires the use of the most current forms, which can be found on the MDA website, and look for the MACS manual. So one way to get there will be to go type in Maryland Department of Agriculture. Click that website open. In the search box, enter MACS program. And you should have a option open to click on the MACS program, Maryland Department of Agriculture. And it should open up the MACS manual. Otherwise, you can go to the link that's referenced at the bottom of the page. On page 1 of the MACS application, this is the required information: Social Security number. If it's a new client, we need the complete number. If for whatever reason the Social Security number is not on the application, then please call me with the number. Do not email the Social Security number. For future applications, you can just list the last 4 digits of the Social Security. That's enough for us to reference the correct applicant. If it is an entity applying as the applicant, we need the federal tax ID number, also known as the EIN, the employer identification number. Again, if it's the first time this entity is applying for MACS cost share, we need the complete number. For future applications, the last 4 digits are acceptable. We also need the full legal name of the landowner, tenant, applicant, as how they file for their taxes. No nicknames. We need the correct spelling. Include any suffix such as Junior or Robert II. We need the complete entity name. So if it's, for example, Shore Farm LLC, that's the entity name. We do need one member who is going to represent the entity. In this example, it will be care of J. Randolph Doe. The same spelling, the same name format, the full legal name needs to be on the agreement. The COR, also known as the Certificate of Resolution. The CSP, which is the Certificate of Sole Proprietorship. And the SPOA, which is the Special Power of Attorney. These are MACS documents found on the MACS website, the MACS manual website. The mailing address needs to be the same for the person as the applicant or the entity, how their taxes are filed. We realize there's multiple addresses associated with farms and people associated with a farm. It could be a home mailing address. It could be the farm mailing address. It could be the business office mailing address. So which is appropriate to use is the applicant They need to supply their mailing address. If there's a 4-digit extension for the zip code available, please include that. On page 2 of the MACS application, the Librifolio, which is the deed number, needs to be included. The property account ID number, which is also known as Maryland Property View. And please include the 2-digit county code. Most of the time, these numbers are 10 digits long, but for more populated counties such as Baltimore County, Prince George's County, they can be a lot more numbers, 14 or 16 numbers. Under district comments, this is about mid-page on page 2. This is an area for you to include extra information, for example, explanations of the project. If the project is a repair to an already installed project, if there's a variation in flat rates being used, maybe it's a one-time use flat rate, maybe you are borrowing from another region's flat rate schedule. If the conservation plan is under a different property account ID number, we need to know that. And please include contact person or persons who is completing the application. If we need to reach out to the district, it's very helpful to include the contact person who can also be included with a memo, as well as the district manager. The more people we reach out to, the faster that you can get us the information or missing documents that are required. How to report proposed BMPs. Currently, the reporting system includes the ACP reference number. For example, for a watering facility, that would be SL-6. We need the BMP name, spelled correctly, using all the words that correctly name the best management practice, and we need the 3-digit NRCS number. What also is required on page 1 of the application is the extent request that is in block 16. We need the quantity and the unit. The reference that can be used to find the NRCS code, the best management practice name, the cost share rate, the unit, and even the maintenance life is on the MACS manual website, and it's called Eligible Practices and Cost Share Rates. It's in numerical and alphabetical order. The same format needs to be used for the agreement and NOR. The regional flat rate schedule for your district must be used. For block 21 under materials service, please write the material service or component description exactly how it is written on your flat rate schedule. We do realize block 21 has limited space. You can abbreviate the words but get it as close to the description as it is on the flat rate schedule. If you do not have a material, service, or component, but another region's flat rate schedule does, you may borrow that flat rate. Or if there's a rate for a material and it doesn't exist on your flat rate or anyone else's flat rate schedules, you can include bids and quotes and invoices for a flat rate that you have created for this one-time use flat rate. The best way to indicate that it's a borrowed or a new flat rate is to include an asterisk star at the end of the material service description. And then also on page 2 under district comments, give an explanation of what region you're using the flat rate from, include the material description and the flat rate price. Or if it's a new flat rate, a one-time use, you can include this information in district comments. Now we're going to start talking about different cost effectiveness calculations and caps that will cap or limit the amount of MACS cost share funding that will be available for the project. So we're going to start with the soil loss formula. In block 30, this number is usually 1. This means that there's approximately 1 ton of soil still lost after the installation of the project. Sometimes this number could be 2, but most of the time it's going to be 1. In block 31, it's a calculation, so it's block 29 minus 30, and that will give you the answer in block 31. So in this example, it's 17 tons minus 1 equals 16 tons of soil saved. These numbers will go into the soil loss calculation formula, which below in the yellow highlighted block, number 44, cost effectiveness, the total amount of cost share estimated is to be $8,500 divided by 16 tons of soil saved multiplied by the amortization factor. And this depends, this number, on how many years the maintenance life is for the project. Most of the time it's going to be 10 years, which is going to be the 0.14635. So calculating this formula out, it equals to be $77.75 per ton of soil saved. This formula is entered into block 44. The old cap of $55 per ton has been removed, but we still need this calculated formula, but it will not affect right now the amount that the applicant will be eligible for MACS cost share funding. The waste storage ceiling rate formula is calculated from using the storage volume required in cubic feet And for this example, it's taken from the AWM, which must be submitted with every 313 application. The 16,683 cubic feet is multiplied by the appropriate ceiling rate. The ceiling rate can be found on the 313 policy in the MACS manual on the MDA website. For this example, it's going to be $7 per cubic foot. It's multiplied by 87.5%. This formula is shown in the green highlighted box and is entered in block 44, cost effectiveness, on the application on page 2. So the calculated amount for this example is $102,183.38. So for just a waste storage structure that is on this application example, that will be the maximum funding that the MACS program can fund for this particular project. So simply do a single line strike through in block 27 of the $197,268.88 and write in the calculated cap of the $102,183.38. If you have any questions in this calculation for your waste storage projects, please email me or give me a call. I'm happy to help you through it. This is a review of waste storage structure and treatment project caps. For a 313 waste storage structure, we need the ceiling rate calculation in block number 44. The maximum amount is $200,000 per waste storage structure. A roofed HUA structure, the combined BMP codes 561367, is $200,000. If it is one structure that includes a waste storage structure and a roofed HUA, the cap is $200,000. Please note, the ceiling rate calculation for the waste storage structure is required and is entered into block number 44, cost effectiveness. The maximum amount that MACS will cost share for all waste storage and treatment projects is $450,000. Please note that once an installed waste storage structure or treatment project has expired, then that dollar amount becomes available again for a new project, but is still capped at $450,000 for all waste storage structures and treatment projects. Small farm prorated cap formula. This is for one animal unit to less than 15 animal units. For waste storage structures, 313, the formula is animal units times the BMP maintenance life, which will be 15 years for a waste storage structure, times $100 per year, and that will give you the cost eligibility amount. For all other projects, it will be animal units times the best management maintenance life, most cases will be 10 years, times $50 per year to give you the cost eligibility. The example I have used, which will be placed in block number 44, cost effectiveness, is 5 animal units times 15 years for a waste storage structure times $100 equals $7,500. This is the prorated cost eligibility for a small farm. This is the maximum amount of cost share available for this particular project and application. Again, if you have any questions in determining what a project is, please email me, give me the scenario, maps are helpful, or give me a telephone call. A recap of what goes into block number 44, the cost effectiveness. If it's a water quality project, for example, a watering facility, fencing, just write in water quality. The livestock waste storage structure ceiling rate cap will go here. If it's a roofed HUA structure, it's $200,000 cap. The soil loss calculation formula goes here. And what we just finished reviewing, the prorated formula for small farms, 1 to less than 15 animal units. That formula will go here also, which all of these caps may or may not affect block 27 on page 1, the amount of MACS funding that is eligible. There are some other caps, sediment control pond rebuild, and poultry HUA pads. The agreement package. If you haven't done so, I really recommend to read this document and understand it, because the applicant needs to understand this agreement. So it's basically 4 parts to this document. The applicant responsibilities is to install the project within 1 year, to use the BMP for its designed purpose, allowing MDA or district representatives to inspect the project, for the applicant to operate and maintain the BMP during its maintenance life, and to notify MDA if there is a change of ownership or changes to the operation, for example, increased animal count. The next section is the district's responsibilities. Then there's an MDA responsibility section. And then finally on pages 6 and 7 are signatures for the applicant and all landowners. Please make sure you use the current form that is found on the MACS manual website. As with the application, the agreement needs to have the full legal name of landowners, tenants, and the applicant. It should be the same as how they file their taxes. Do not use nicknames. Make sure you have the correct spelling. include suffix such as senior or junior or Robert III. The same applies for the application, the COR, CSP, and special power of attorney. The mailing address should be the same address as used as the applicant's mailing address as they use for filing taxes. If there's a 4-digit extension to the zip code, you can include that. To report the BMPs, we need minimal, the BMP name, correctly spelled and worded, and the NRCS, 3-digit number. The ACP reference number is optional. If you need guidance on the names of the BMPs, you can find that on the MACS manual website under Eligible Practices and Cost Share Rates. The same format needs to be on the agreement, application, and NOR. Currently on the application and on the agreement, we are asking for the Maryland State Plane Coordinate System, the east and north coordinates. You do have the option, you can use latitude and longitude numbers. On page 7 of the agreement, we need every landowner that is listed on the deed, their full legal name to be typed out, no nicknames, correct spelling, include suffix such as senior or Robert II. If the deed is owned by an entity such as Smith Farms LLC, also include the member who has been appointed by the COR. In this example, it would be care of John P. Smith. For a trust, write the trust name exactly how it should be. Some trusts have a date added at the end. For example, it will say dated July 6, 2023. If it has that, include it because it's part of the trust name. Again, there should be an appointed member of the trust, which is defined on either the COR or the CSP if it's one individual member. So with the trust example, it's Doe Family Trust, care of J. Randolph Doe. So a little different name situation going back to J. Randolph Doe. This person uses their middle name as their legal name. And so this is how it's written, J. Randolph Doe. If there's a POA for the applicant is Henry D. Jones. For whatever reason, Henry Jones cannot sign for themselves. So he is appointed as the power of attorney, Jacob A. Jones. So this is the format how we need it written. Jacob A. Jones, POA for Henry D. Jones. Again, Henry D. Jones is the applicant. Occasionally we have name changes, especially for females due to marriage or misspelled names. This is a way to address this situation. Mary S. Smith, and also known as Mary S. Jones. So there was a change in name due to marriage in this situation. But that's how to handle a name change or a misspelled name. I apologize for this being a busy slide, but I just want to cross-reference information between application and the agreement. All BMPs need to be listed on both the application and on the agreement. So you can use the ACP code, the practice name, and the NRCS 3-digit code. On the agreement, the first block where the dollar amount goes, that is found at the bottom of block 23, total cost. And then the second location for the dollar amount, that comes from block 27, the estimate of eligible state cost. Resources for you to use to complete the application and agreement can be found on the MACS manual, section 2. The eligible practices and cost share rates. It's in numerical and alphabetical order. Each BMP practice has a policy. You can read and get a lot of information of what's eligible and what documentation is required at application time. Section 3, under Forms and Instructions, are all your current updated forms and additional resources, the chart of required attachments to accompany the MACS Water Quality Project form, notes to the charts of attachments. These will be the provisions, worksheets, the exact names of these documents so that you can find these forms under section 3. And of course the water quality application, and then there's an instruction which has every block number with instructions on how to complete that block. You can always call me, you can always email me. 2 resources that are found on the MACS manual on the website to help you determine what attachments, what documents are needed to be submitted along with the MACS application, is the chart of required attachments to accompany the MACS Water Quality Project form. The grayed out blocks are the documents and attachments that are required. And the column is numbered for the second resource document called the Notes to the Chart of Attachments. So for example, column number 1, which is the Waste Management System Plan, can be referred to the notes of the chart of attachments, and it will list all the BMPs that the Waste Management System Plan is needed for. And each column heading is referred to the second document for more detailed information and names of documents, provision forms, and referring to what BMP codes these additional attachments, documents are needed for. I use both of these when I'm reviewing applications. Both of them are handy tools. For an imminent startup or expansion to the operation project, this document needs to be submitted and completed and sent with the application. The applicant and the district manager need to sign. Animal units must match the application form and this imminent startup or expansion form. At claim for payment time, the bottom portion of this document gets signed by the district manager. Again, animal units must match the claim for payment form and the imminent startup expansion form. Livestock must be located on the farm by the completion date. That's the as-built date. If there are no animals present, please write a justification letter on letterhead and explain the reason why. There could be valid reasons: seasonal grazing, pasture. Exceptions will be approved by the MACS administrator, and MACS program will request an on-farm status review spot check 6 months after the completion date. We're verifying that the animals are there and as promised. This is a recorded presentation. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to ask and answer questions, but please call me or email me. I thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. I hope it has answered some or all of your questions. I'm always available to help you. I am here to help you in the MACS office, and you can reach me at the given phone number or send me an email, and I will gladly help you. Thank you.